Remind me again why we have to go to this party? Clark said, leaning against the door frame of Dani's bathroom door. Clark was never much of a social person. Even back when he and Dani were in college, Dani would drag him to house parties and try and get Clark to have fun, but Clark hated it. He'd spend much of his time complaining about how he could be back in his dorm, studying for the next exam. Clark, come on. If you're sulking the whole time, you'll blow our cover, Dani said as she capped her lipstick and dropped it into her clutch. It was Friday night, and after getting a last-minute invitation to Vinny's homecoming party from an anonymous source, Jackson called up his daughter and ordered her to pull on her finest threads and get to that party. Dani would have preferred to go to the party alone. Clark didn't do well when it came to social events, but her father insisted that she have backup, and the only other detective that was available was Eric. There was no way she would want to do anything with that arrogant son of a bitch. Look, just try and blend in. Don't get too caught up in small talk, but still talk to people. Talk to big groups and avoid one-on-one chats at all costs, Dani said. Clark huffed and rolled his eyes. All right, but you owe me, Clark said. Dani laughed. Owe you for what? This is a part of our job, she said with a laugh. Clark opened his mouth to speak when Dani's phone dinged with a message from her father, letting her know he was outside. Come on, Dad's here, Dani said, grabbing her clutch. The pair made their way out to the black SUV. My, you look just like your mother, Jackson said with a prideful smile. Dani stopped in front of her father and took his face in her hands. No time to get sentimental, old man, Dani said before air kissing his cheeks. Jackson laughed before opening the back door and allowing Dani and Clark to climb into the back. On the way to the party, Jackson handed Clark and Dani the file on the party. Photos of all the who's who's and a description of what exactly they were looking for were all detailed in the file. Don't be fucking heroes tonight. We just want to know what the LaVine family's up to. With the return of Mikey and now Paulie and Vinny are talking again, I know those snakes are cooking something up, Jackson said, shaking his head. So we're just collecting info. Got it, Dani said with a nod. The car came to a stop at a red light where Jackson pulled on a driver's hat. The light then turned green and he headed down the block, stopping just outside the nightclub where the party was being held. All right, some of the guys and I will be driving around, so just shoot us a text when you're ready to be picked up. And remember, Dash. I know. Don't do anything stupid. This isn't my first rodeo, Dad, Dani said, rolling her eyes. After a quick kiss on the forehead, Dani and Clark exited the car and made their way up to the doorman. After giving them the names they were assigned, the bouncer stepped aside, allowing them into the club. The club was loud, the bass booming as lights flashed. Stay close, Dani said, not bothering to look back at her partner. Clark gave Dani's shoulder a squeeze, letting her know that he was right behind her. In an effort to blend in, the pair made their way to the bar and grabbed water before leaning against the bar and surveilling the scene. They looked around for about a minute before a tall man dressed in all black approached Dani. Hey, gorgeous, can I get you a drink? The man said. Clark slowly slid away from Dani, but still remained close by if she needed him. If people thought Dani was there alone, more men would approach her, increasing her chances of getting into the VIP area and closer to the LaVine family. Dani laughed flirtatiously as she held up the cup in her hand. The man laughed. Ah, you did just get that, didn't you? He said, leaning in closer. Dani looked up at the man, batting her eyes flirtatiously. Never mind the fact that the asshole wasn't even looking at her eyes. Dani had to fight the urge to not knee the son of a bitch in the balls as he stared at her chest. It was at times like these that Dani thanked the heavens that she was gay. Yes, I did, Dani said. The man looked around for a moment before looking back at Dani. You here all alone? The man asked. I came with my friend, but I seem to have lost him, Dani said, looking around. Dani and Clark made eye contact for a moment before the man began speaking again. Well, why don't we go up to my section? You can see the whole club from there, the man said with a smile as he held out his hand. Dani returned his smile as she placed her hand in his. Turning around, the man began to lead Dani up to the VIP area. Looking back, Dani spotted Clark slowly zigzagging his way through the crowd. When they got to the VIP area, Paula stopped the pair right at the entrance. What do you think you're doing? Paula said as she looked over at the man. Paula, come on. It's crowded down there, the man said, pointing down to the crowded dance floor. Paula turned her attention to Dani, and Dani could feel her body heating up under Paula's gaze. Fuck. Paula sighed and stepped aside, allowing Dani and the man to enter the VIP area. As they made their way past her, Dani could feel Paula's gaze burning into her back, and as much as she didn't want it to, it made Dani a little nervous. But not in the fear of getting caught kind of nervous. Sitting amongst the LaVine family, the man introduced Dani to a few members of the family. After the introductions were made, the man sat uncomfortably close to Dani, his hand resting on her knee as he talked to an older gentleman. Shit, maybe Dani should have pushed for Clark to come with her. Sure, one-on-one she could take this asshole easily, but in the VIP area, she was outnumbered. Dani's discomfort must have shown on her face because, within minutes of sitting, Paula was up on her feet. "Come dance with me," Paula yelled over the music. Not bothering to wait for a response, she pulled Dani to her feet. The man protested and grabbed Dani's other arm, but one cold look from Paula, and the man released his grip. Pulling her along, Paula made her way out of the VIP and back out onto the dance floor. "You okay?" Paula asked as she turned around and pulled Dani into her. Dani nodded as Paula's hands found her hips. Without any permission from Dani, her hips began to sway to the music. Paula grinned devilishly as Dani pulled her in closer, Paula following Dani's lead. The bass pounded, rattling the floor beneath them. Despite the loud music, all Dani could focus on were the green eyes staring into hers as Paula's body moved with her. This was dangerous. She needed to get away from Paula, find Clark, and get the fuck out of there. But she couldn't pry herself away. The song changed about 3 or 4 times, and the women only stopped dancing for the time that it took Paula to drag Dani from the dance floor to the bar, and then back again. Dani wasn't supposed to be drinking, but there she was, mixed drink in hand as Paula pressed against her, burning Dani alive. "Where the fuck are you, Clark?" Dani thought to herself. Paula looked into Dani's eyes, and Dani realized her panic must have been starting to seep through. "Everything all right?" Paula asked. "Yeah. Do you know where the bathroom is?" Dani asked. "Yeah, this way," Paula said, grabbing hold of Dani's hand and leading the way. Dani's mind raced a mile a minute. How is this so easy to do with men, but impossible with women? Dani had played the straight role countless times. Milking men for info was child's play to her. But with Paula, Dani was putty in the other woman's hands. She needed to find Clark now. Scanning the crowd, Clark was nowhere to be found. Before Dani could process what was happening, Paula pulled her into the bathroom and pinned her against the door. In an instant, Paula's hands were on Dani's waist, and Dani's hands were in Paula's hair. Their lips crashed together, and Dani could feel her brain start to short-circuit as their mouths moved against one another.
Enjoyed this audio story? Want to be notified when more stories are uploaded? Then subscribe and ring that bell. Want to read some of these LGBT stories? Then visit the Royal Blue Network.lgbt today.